Hi, Mahmud. Really excited to chat with you today about your journey to and experience at Stanford as a JD MBA. Can you talk me through how you developed that narrative? Was it journaling? Was it talking to people? How did you come to this idea of, oh, this is my story, this is where my values are, and this is how I'm going to communicate it?
But for other people, it is journaling. I mean, I have a lot of folks that I work with, starting with a personal statement, just start kind of a free write, talking about the seminal experiences they've had in their lives. Um, some people take like 30 pages to do that. Other people, they already have a sense of like, this is why I'm going. And so I want to link some of my reasons to the law. I would just say that it's helpful to not think of it as like, I want to say something that I think they want to hear. Because I think if you do that, you're going to find yourself copying models or templates you find online, which are basically the same thing that everyone else is writing. And I would change the mindset a bit towards I want to be the best version of me, and me in addition to this class, like nobody else can replicate that.
Generally, high level, what is your top tip for someone applying to Stanford Law in particular?
The thing that is super different about Stanford is that its culture is quite unique among like the top 10 schools or so. And what I mean by that is you have super smart people, obviously, who are trying to be great lawyers, trying to be great, whatever they want to be. Um, it is a much more collegial environment. Basically saying like, nice way of me saying like, there's not a lot of assholes out there, which like, I hate to say it. If you're going to law school, if you're going to be in the law, you're going to encounter a lot of people who are not the most pleasant people you've ever met in your life. Well, there are some schools that I think appreciate a bit more of a like sharp elbowed approach to things. Stanford is very much not one of those. And so obviously like top line things that are the same for all schools that apply to Stanford, you want top grades, LSAT, good experience, have a compelling story that only you can tell it well. But I think the unique thing for Stanford is there's a cultural fit there where they want to know that you take school seriously, you take your work seriously, you don't take yourself too seriously. Um, and I think if you fall in that category, then Stanford may be a great fit.
Talk me through the essays in particular. Stanford's GSB essays are pretty notorious. Why Stanford? What matters most to you and why? For your unique background, how much did you emphasize your JD experience in the law school? Talk me through the essays a little bit.
I had a month to write my essays, do the GRE, get the Recs, and also because I knew nothing about MBA program. It works because with the background I had, particularly for the what matters most to you and why. To me, that was kind of a similar answer to why I went to law school. Like fundamentally, it's yes, it's about like the jobs you're doing, the functions you're doing, the skills you need. But like I said before, like you are who you are, and so my values haven't changed since I wrote the last essay. And so it wasn't really the same essay because I structured it differently. But in terms of the tell your story as well as you can, leave it up to them as to whether or not they like it. But the important thing is like whether they accept you or not, like you have a good sense of why you're doing the work you're doing.
Top tip for people applying to Stanford GSB. We talked about the law school, so what about the business side?
But there's not really like a formula to fit into, even if you are coming from a more common background. But really, I think it's less focused on Stanford and more about you, and kind of what I said before about like, are you telling the story that only you can tell? And then once that's established, are you making a case for why like Stanford and all of its particularities about like being a very international school, being in California, being like gateway to the East or whatever people call it. Why is that helpful for bringing your vision to fruition?
If someone is deciding whether to pursue just a JD or just an MBA or that joint degree, what would you have to say to them?
Again, like focus on the JD if you want to be a lawyer. Do the MBA if you want to do kind of anything else that's related to management or leadership. I think the people that make sense to do both is if you want to do something that's kind of in a more management capacity, but in the public sector where you're having a lot of different interactions with the law. No matter what it is, number one, figure out how you're going to pay for it. Number two, have an understanding of what this degree actually gets you in the year after you graduate and 5 years down the line, and make sure that aligns with what you actually want to do.
Yeah, super helpful. And something I want to highlight that you said is you talked to people who are in these career paths about their actual experiences, which I think is such a good way to figure out if either path or the joint path is right for you. I've talked to people who have done both, talked to people who just did one, who are doing something that you'd be interested in and hear about their experiences. As you said too, you can find Mahmud, you can work with him on your applications on Leland, which is so cool. They can connect with you on LinkedIn and other platforms as well. Mahmoud, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts and for being here.